transition to our next question, which is how do you train a new generation of folks coming into the workplace, either high school grads, non-high school grads, associate bachelor level degrees, to enter the workforce and to have robust careers in a changing environment? I don't know how many of you have had recent college graduates. My daughter graduated a year ago last weekend. It took her 9 months to find a job. I'm just told she has one. Right, and she became very scrappy in the meantime, and babysitting, doing freelance work, etc. So it's certainly a different paradigm than when we came out of the college environment. So I guess I would start with Carrie. What are some of the strategies that you see in not just training the new generation, but what about that generation that's now being left behind, that middle class that we talked about, that has lost their jobs and needs to be retrained or become chronically unemployed?
Yeah, I actually think that the ideas behind transitional jobs and bridge programs are really at the core of any successful workforce development initiative for anybody who's looking to gain skills or get a job. And essentially, and I think for young people right now, I mean, everybody knows if you do not get attached to the labor market as a young person, and it just goes on and on and on, you are really in trouble once you hit 25 or 26, because then you have these lost years and you have to make up for that, and whatever your skills or education might be somewhat obsolete, and the depression associated with that. So thinking about strategies to have paid internships or paid work opportunities, which essentially transitional jobs are a subsidized employment strategy that's targeted to a certain population. There's no reason we can't have other ways of subsidizing work for people that's tied to getting the right experience that's relevant to the labor market, as well as getting some kind of on-the-job training or connecting to additional training programs. And I think career tech is another example of doing that for a different population. The idea, though, is they really need to be customized, and they need to be customized to the population that they serve, but also customized to the industry that they're meant to serve. And I think the bridge model is really taking all of those pieces and all of those expertise and bringing them together to develop them. I really think I wholeheartedly agree on the bridge programs, and I have a number that I like to bring up to tell people. Some of you may be familiar with this number, but there are nearly 2 million adults in the state of Illinois, prime working age adults between the ages of 25 and 54, who have either no high school degree or only a high school degree. So that doesn't even count all of those adults who have a high school, they could have a high school degree, but they could have low literacy. And that means it's really a basic skills crisis in our workforce that we have to really focus on. And I think these core ideas of providing people with opportunities to work and learn on the job with really good curriculum that's tied to the labor market and tied to the skills they need, and maybe really the first and only entry point into post-secondary education. I mean, that might be the first successful educational experience for people that then gets them thinking 2, 3, 4 years later, when they will need to get additional training, that they aren't scared of going to a community college.
David, do you have?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that. I think one of the things that we found in our organization is the intersection of reality and people's aspirations, and I think Eric touched on that. And just following on Carrie's remarks, we launched a program a couple of years ago called Financial Aid U, and it's focused on working with a lot of the kids of the parents that we were helping through kind of financial services and tax landscape, helping them get need-based college aid. And it was very successful in its first year. We reached over 1,000 CPS kids. We were pretty tough, just like Eric talked about. You got to have metrics, and so it's not just completing the FAFSA and making sure they understand the aid package, but it's we judge ourselves by matriculation the following fall. And 54% of them actually matriculated either a 2-year or 4-year program the next fall. But the most challenging thing that I picked up on a consistent basis, and it's not that we have the metrics to base this on, but it's more subjective interpretation, is kids coming out, especially of Chicago public schools, immediately feeling like they're ready for a 4-year college, going for a traditional college, when in reality, maybe a community college setting or a career-based setting was the right place for them to be. And not only is that long-term maybe, or an intermediate step, a trajectory for them to pursue. It doesn't mean they can't go back and get a 4-year degree, but start with something that is tied to a job instead of getting yourself in debt tens, $20,000, $30,000 or more. And the challenge there is that I think, unfortunately, that a lot of kids, whether it's public schools or private schools, are kind of in this middle of you've got to go to a four-year school. And I think we've got to rethink that, and we've got to step back. And I think, there are a lot of opportunities between 18 to 22 that fall short of necessarily immediately going to college, even if it's a community college. I think this is tough because traditionally, I think those of us in the nonprofit world, social service sector, are very much geared towards, I think given our own middle class backgrounds many times, to four-year college as being the right place. But the community college system, and maybe one of the other panelists will talk about it more, I think needs to realign to address these needs as well. I think there's not a lot of good handoffs taking place between schools, community colleges, and colleges to kind of focus on where the training would add the most value over a career for a worker.